So in the last video, I went through my earliest memories playing WoW and being a total noob, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about my first experiences raiding in Molten Core, which was the first raid I ever went to. Now, even though I played WoW in pretty much all of my spare time, I still had a day job. I used to be a smoker, quit now for 4 years, yay me, but if you've ever smoked, you know how you can make quick friends with people that way on smoke breaks. It wasn't long until I found out that one of my smoking buddies played WoW, and holy crap, that was all we ever talked about after that. I remember him showing me all of these silly videos like The Internet is for Porn WoW Edition, and he had these goofy character names of which he was always trying to make ones that were like more incendiary in some way, like the troll character he made that was named Seal Clubber. You should have heard him crack up as he'd tell you about it too. So when I finally hit 60, I was really interested in raiding, but all of the guilds on my server that were doing MC were pretty serious and not looking to take anyone in. I would get flat out ignored from people who just weren't looking to help introduce me to the raiding scene. I was in a guild that was trying to do Ubers, and I just felt like we never made any real progress. I told my smoking buddy about the situation, and he suggested I transfer to his server, that he was in a guild with some awesome people and that they could help me get started no problem, and I'm pretty sure they also said they needed a tank. I was thinking, tank? What? I had done literally 0 tanking in my entire trip to 60. I don't think I had ever even equipped a shield, seriously. But I thought, well, whatever, I'll give it a shot, and little did I know the insane prep course I was going to be getting to learn all of the ins and outs of being a good tank. So I transferred over, and one of the first things my new guild helped me with was gearing up. One of the officers got a blacksmith over to get me some gear crafted so we wouldn't have to waste quite so much time in 5-mans. We made a full set of enchanted thorium armor, and I remember feeling just completely awesome wearing my new gear. Like, you know when you get a new outfit and you just feel like $1,000,000 and you strut your stuff? That was me in my new gear. I think the gear currently has dodge on it, but back then it had defense. The guild didn't have enough materials to make me fire resist gear, so we settled on me just being a defense tank. There were so many tricks to tanking that I had to learn, like making sure to get a few stacks of Sunder on a mobs to build threat so DPS wouldn't pull mobs off of me so easily. I remember the GM, who was our main tank, giving me the tip of using Demo Shao on pull to aggro a group of mobs. It wasn't stated on the tooltip as far as I know, but it worked to get an initial threat. And just getting used to actually using all of the warrior defensives in general was difficult since I had never really used prod at all while leveling. The hardest thing was learning how to be hyper aware of your surroundings, not pulling that extra pack of mobs by accident, making sure you had as much threat as possible on a mob, making sure you were doing what you needed to be doing so that the whole group didn't wipe. And you'd always have your work cut out for you because there'd always be that one gnome warlock who would just go in and fear everything. After doing my attunement by running through BRD, I finally went into MC for the first time with my guild. It was so freaking awesome. I remember just feeling like a little kid and going, whoa, it was so cool. I was so into it. This is what I had been wanting to do for months, and I was finally here. Now, if you didn't raid back then, you're probably thinking, what kind of dumb guild would bring a newbie in as a tank to raid? Well, today we don't bring many tanks to our raids, but back then we usually brought anywhere from 5 to 6 depending on turnout. There were also different types of tanks that were needed, like defense tanks, as I mentioned that I was, and also fire resist tanks that wore the dark iron gear. Lava and fiery cores were pretty scarce though, and making that gear took some time. As you moved your way through the instance, you needed defense tanks to take on the rock elementals, and you needed the fire resist tanks to take on the fire elementals. Pretty simple, really. But it was also a nice way to take on more than one mob as you progressed your way through. A lot of the paths had rock elemental and then a fire one. Our guild was pretty awesome in that they often gave new tanks the opportunity to tank bosses. I remember the first time I tanked Maggie, or Magmadar, it was so freaking cool. I also got to tank the Corehounds on the Golemag fight, and eventually Golemag himself. They really encouraged us to try things out for practice in case someone else couldn't show up. I eventually worked my way up to the 3rd tank spot, but sometimes was relegated to 4th when one of our fire resist tanks showed up that had been my senior. He couldn't make it a lot of the time though, so often it fell to me. Main tank and off tank were usually the 2 big cheeses. I remember doing the quest for the Aqua Quintessence and running out to that water elemental dude off the coast of Ashera and just feeling so helpful that I could put one of the runes out in MC. Probably one of my fondest memories was helping come up with a solution for bringing down Sulfuron. We tried many suggestions, and eventually I was thinking, we need to line of sight these guys, and it needs to be far enough away that they won't just run over and heal the other. We came up with the strategy of running a priest all the way up the ramp with a tank and a healer team, kiting it all the way there. We had a DPS team waiting at the top to bring it down, and we did that for each of the 4 priests until they were all dead. I will never forget the feeling when we finally got them all and we were able to actually attack Sulfuron without him getting healed. It was just magnificent, like the best of puzzle solving. I also remember we really needed to get our coordination together for Major Domo, and it took some time, but we eventually did it. Then it was time for Ragnaros, and holy crap. When he first popped out of the lava pool, it was like, oh shit, maybe we messed up here. Can we actually kill this thing? We all had to hand out fire resist potions to help with the damage. We had to work on our positioning so the knockback wouldn't be too bad, or else you'd just get thrown. All the while, Rags is just sitting there yelling, "By fire be purged!" We eventually got him down, and while it was exciting, it was also a little sad because we had cleared all of MC and there was nothing new, at least for now. I'll also never forget fighting Onyxia for the first time, and that video with the crazy guy yelling about Mordot.
Mordot now!
As a warrior, I felt mostly useless during the fight, but it was still awesome fighting this big huge dragon. We always used to give people shit for getting thrown into the whelp caves too, and someone always did it. Those were the good old days. After spending a good 3 months in MC, I took a little bit of a break. I came back by the end of BWL, and I remember helping out with the Nefarian fight, but things had changed a bit in the guild, and not everyone I used to know was still playing. A lot were, but the dynamic felt a little bit different. We were wiping over and over and over, and people just didn't seem as willing to talk out strategies as they used to. I think maybe I had just grown tired of the scene. Being a tank was fun in a way, but it was also a lot of responsibility. Sometimes you just want to go off on your own and not want everyone to depend on you, you know? I never left that guild on that character during vanilla, but I definitely started playing on other characters after that point. I also switched over to Horde for a long time, which I'll go into in the next video. So there you go, I was a Night Elf Warrior tank for most of vanilla. What did you main as, and what was your first faction? It's really crazy thinking up all of these old memories, and it's sad to think of all the friends I had that I don't play with anymore. So many people have just quit, never to be seen again, and it makes you wish you got their email or something to keep in touch. We didn't have anything like Discord back then, it was just Ventrilo, and once people stopped coming onto the server, that was it. Ah well. Here's to all of our old raiding buddies, may you live long in our memories and forever be fighting dragons. See you guys.